All right. So, the background for us, I'll get into in a minute, but the goal of this presentation, we want to show partner teams at 3 different stages, hopefully some unique stuff that you haven't been told from the typical channel networks. Contents of this, like I said, it's 4 parts. We'll go into a quick background. Part 1 is an awesome review of some of the data that we've gathered, and we've done about 200 of those, and we talk about everything, how they work with partners, what they like about partnerships, what they don't, who's their current partner, who's in their stack. And we try to create these sort of pivot table correlations between things like agency size and average revenue generated from partnerships, who they like to partner and why they do and do not partner with specific SaaS companies. We try to learn that, and that goes into our strategy and our program and everything that we like to do for our clients. Now, before we start, what is going on with me, what is going on with partner programs, and why our agency is important. My personal background, I ran an agency for 6 years, a little over actually. And then I got into marketing roles. So I was VP of marketing for a couple large platforms, marketplaces, and a couple SaaS companies. Then I got into consulting. So that was more contract-based, 6 months on to develop the actual go-to-market strategy for early-stage SaaS companies. So a lot of management of agency relations, onboarding the agencies, building out the tech stacks. So I got in close with that. And then I found that there was a big misalignment between SaaS companies and the teams that were implementing SaaS companies. And there needed to be an extra component in all of these larger builds, and there just wasn't the right type of information, the right type of relationship flow between those 3 parties. So I set out to create partner programs so that we can build better partnerships between SaaS companies and the agencies, the consultants, those third parties that are in the middle. Now, who do we mean by agencies? Who do we mean by consultants? Well, these are experienced individuals who are trusted to analyze, advise, and really help the company with campaigns, these product development strategies, these implementations. So these are any third parties. In our purview, we are talking to referral and implementation partners and reselling partners, and we go into co-marketing and co-selling. So those are the definitions there. You can check those out on your own. And then understanding how agency tech relationships are segmented. So this is one thing that throughout our experience, we've seen some pretty shocking misunderstanding around who these agencies are and how they deal with the tech stack and how they actually look at your solutions. So the biggest thing here is to understand where your software fits into the entire agency reseller referral business. Are you a software that's going to be owned by the agency and managed by the agency entirely? Are you going to be managed by the agency and the client together? Or are you only going to be on the client side? AirCall, at your price points, you probably see agencies using AirCall internally and for the client's use. But from a partnerships perspective, I'm guessing most of your agencies are on the client-only side, where they are only looking at you for referrals to clients and implementations on the client side, where they're not looking at you so much to build out internally. And that's a very important thing for everybody to understand, that these agencies are not going to lean on AirCall or look at AirCall to solve any internal needs. It's purely for client-facing needs. The agency partner report, I'll get you a link to that, Anthony, so you have it. But we surveyed 200 agencies. We collected 31 answers from each, 1,700 data points on how, what, why they partner. I'm just going to pull out a couple interesting stats so we can kind of set the tone. 100% of the agencies surveyed with 50 plus employees partnered with at least one technology stack. And we were clear on the term partner. Partner means that they are in a referral relationship, reseller contract. So they're on a partner directory. They have some sort of agreement in place. Now, this is important to understand because we want to help younger agencies know what they need to do to get to that level if they are going that direction. And part of that is leaning on partnerships. And 60% of the agencies surveyed partnered with at least one technology. Okay. Now, what was pretty interesting for us is the discrepancies between what our partner teams saw as an ideal agency persona and who we found were actually contributing the most revenue to the partnership conversation, meaning the most referrals back to their partners and the most implementations and the best implementations. In our survey, we found that agencies under 20 employees reported on average higher revenue attributed from partners, as well as vice versa back to the partnership. They contributed more revenue back to the partnership on average. This means the agencies you may want to focus on are smaller, more agile, and can be a better referral and possibly a better implementation partner. Now for Aircall, a little bit more unique because I believe you guys are focused on some of the bigger, call center implementations, some of these larger, MSP relationships. Now this is important. So these are all the questions that we asked these agency counts, what's prevented them from partnering with software. Smaller agencies reported the upfront costs, typical. So, a smaller agency can't afford your $30,000 NetSuite partnership or Qualtrics or whatever it is, right? Larger agencies are more interested in alignment and that referral relationship, right? So every large agency I talk to, I can quote David from Demand Gen because he was on my podcast and said this publicly, but he will not even entertain a new software if you're trying to charge him for the software, right? You have to give him the software and you have to show him on day one what is the track to becoming an implementation referral partner on day one, or he will not even entertain it. So if you're focused on larger agencies, that's the best strategy. And we'll go into that in more detail in section 4. So finally, it's crucial to understand what agency partners are concerned with, right? So this is not our data. This is HubSpot's data. But 72% of agencies they surveyed needed to focus on new business strategies, right, Anthony? So if you're looking at going into a new agency, it's best to take Aircall off the table at first, talk about what they're going through, talk about what they're dealing with, talk about what you can do with all of your weapons and all of your knowledge and what you see other agencies doing to help them understand, hey, here's a new strategy for going after new business or more revenue from your current business. 45% of agencies surveyed by HubSpot needed to diversify services. So we're in the post-COVID era right now. But over the last 3 months, almost every agency I spoke with was going through some sort of a pivot. A lot of them were productizing their services. The term productizing a service is when you take a service that says, hey, we offer SEO services or we offer CRM implementation services. And you take that verbiage on an agency landing page and you convert it to, we offer a Salesforce and Aircall implementation for 10 grand or 50 grand, right? Or 10 grand at this tier and 20 grand at this tier. Many agencies we talked to over the last 3 months because of COVID, they were forced to trim the fat, meaning they cannot go on all of these sales calls and do all of this auditing. They have to basically let go of people, which means they can't spend the time selling as much, meaning on those free calls. So they have to have ready to go relationships, buyers, intent, leads in their funnel, which means they have to show on the pricing, on the product, on the services pages on their website, exactly what these prospects are going to buy. So that's really important to understand because now that we're in post-COVID, we want to make sure that we are still looking for those ways we can help productize the service, right? How can we help an agency productize that service? Okay, so part 2 is all about determining whether you have program market fit is what we call it. It's where your agency persona is right for your program at that stage. Are you going after the right agencies? So I'm not going to go into detail in this section, but I do want to show you one slide that's, I think, very important. This is something I had a call with Joseph over at Kite.ai. Really awesome partner program dealing with mid-market. He's in the sales process. or his technologies dealing with the sales process. So one thing that we talked about in our discussion, and one thing that he pointed out, is when he decided to roll out Kite's partner program, he found that there were 4 intrinsic aspects to the ecosystem that make that partner program super viable. Number 1, your ideal prospects, not your partners, your actual customers, are going through a major adjustment, meaning the agency's customers, which are your potential customers, are going through a major adjustment, right? They're scaling, they need phone systems. They are going distributed. They need phone systems, right? They're going through that major adjustment. Number 2, there's a lot at stake around the decision, meaning they need a consultant, meaning they need someone to help them with this implementation. An MSP, some IT company, an agency, they need that. Number 3, your prospects are involved with an agency or consultant to advise them on that transition. So they need it, and now they've gone and found it, right? Hopefully that person's your partner. Finally, your product should solve a material need. That's important because there are a lot of SaaS out there that probably aren't going to exist in a couple of months because they didn't solve that material need, and therefore they cannot build those solid relationships as SaaS, like I believe Aircall does, solve a material need. A material need,
what do you mean?
Yeah, material need is revenue. It
Okay.
is, if you took Aircall out of your client's business, they would no longer be able to sell. You guys are a perfect example. CRM is a perfect example. You cannot take a CRM out of a sales team, right? Away from a sales team. So those are material needs. Now, the ones that are not material needs, there's all sorts of design platforms out there, UI, UX platforms out there. There's all sorts of project management. Yeah, you can make the argument. Those kind of sit in the middle, but you guys are solving a material need, which means I would say, yes, the ecosystem's super viable for agency consultancy relationships. So I'll skip through. This is an outreach strategy for co-marketing. Best for earlier stage. We'll get into that later. I'll give you all this stuff first. So this is a little bit of an outreach, simplified version of all that. Do you have program market fit? Check those boxes. That's part 1 and 2. Okay, so you can tell me, Anthony, if you want to go into this, but choosing your stack. So we have different stacks for different sizes. If you are dealing with the stack at the moment, we can go into this and kind of where partner stack fits in and what you can do at top of funnel to generate more inbound for your partner program, what you as a partner manager can do. And then at the back end, what you need to enable LMSs, training, all that stuff. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Top of funnel. This is something I think partner managers in general just don't do enough of, which is really owning their top of funnel new partner acquisition strategies using software, right? So one thing that we did recently, and I'll send you a link for it. We had an AMA sort of demo on how you can use your partner directory to generate a ton of SEO traffic. I mean, that is one of the areas of the website that marketing won't put a lot of emphasis on, and product won't put a lot of emphasis on if you as the partner manager don't show them exactly what you plan to do and why you should own it. So there's tools out there like API Deck is one that we use that we love. So I definitely recommend looking at ways you can own your partner directory. How can you and the partner team, you and Carrie and you guys, how can you own it? Take it away from product, take it away from marketing, get their buy-in on what your strategy is. And without needing any UI, UX design, you want it to be flexible. You want to be able to give your partners a login so they can change their profile. They can edit their profile. You don't want to have to deal with editing profiles. And then you want that programmatic SEO benefit. You want keywords, you want categories, you want the middle of the SEO funnel, and then you want the end of it, which is they need to send you an email saying, I want this Aircall integration. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're using. And it's been awesome. If you're at the lower end, we have an Airtable and Stacker partner profile, partner directory that you can use, which if you like Airtable, it's an awesome little flexible thing. But at your level, you need a little bit more. So Attribution, obviously Partner Stack is great. And then enablement. So we use Mighty Networks for our agency enablement LMS. We also use Thinkific for some of our partner training, but you need content and you need an LMS. So how do you guys bring all of your partners together into a community, and how do you enable them to sell AirCall?
Yeah.
So one of the strategies we'll get into is showing them the services that they can build on top of AirCall. Not just refer AirCall to your client because it's 20% recurring revenue. That will get you your MSP relationships at the higher IT level. But if you're talking to Salesforce agencies, they are less concerned at the beginning with your referral contract, your referral commission. They want to know how you're going to support them in sales, how you're going to do all this stuff. How are you going to show them that new business? How are you going to help them pivot and productize and all that stuff? And that means a bunch of enablement content. HubSpot did this better than anyone else. They broke up their training into two parts: how to use HubSpot, how to build HubSpot out, and how to sell services on top of HubSpot. Social media marketing, XYZ, content marketing, CRM, etc. So this is the AMA. I'll send you the deck, which will have a link to this. You can watch that. That's all about that SEO on top of the partner directory. Now, section 4, optimizing an established partner program. So I believe this is where you guys are at, where you've developed really key MSP relationships. You've got program market fit. Now you're analyzing, you're taking calls, you're formalizing, meaning you're onboarding into Partner Stack. Maybe you're scrubbing your current partner ecosystem where you don't want to spend time with these guys and that didn't work out, and maybe you're getting them out. Now you're optimizing. You're ready to start making sure it's ready to go. And then you're going to hit that scale, that next growth stage. Now, these are just some agency partner FAQs, again, from our perspective, answers to have as a partner manager to attract the quality agencies, the ones that we know will bring you 2-3 referrals a week, right? When and how does the agency partner get referrals from AirCall? Show them a very clear track to become an implementation partner, to get them on the directory, really instill that specific, how are they going to get business from AirCall? It may not be direct referrals, but how are they going to win more business using the AirCall partnership? Number 2, where's the agency required? Where are their billable hours? Agencies will not respond well, in our experience, again, when you come at them with, hey, refer us and you are not needed, right? We deal with this a lot with large analytics platforms like Keep.io is struggling with this right now because technically the agency is not necessary, right? All they need is a marketing manager, a product lead, and the company itself. So they're going after agencies, asking the agency to refer Keep, which is $1,200 a month. And there's referral commission, but the agency's basically taken out of the picture, right? And that is a position where you need to make sure you articulate where the agency is necessary in the whole picture. Now, finally, what sales, training, and co-sales support is your team going to provide? This is early stage. This is when they're learning AirCall. AirCall is not a tough implementation. I've done it. I should have put that in my background, but I implemented AirCall at one of my past companies. I think I spoke to one of your co-founders, actually, when I was onboarding. And I bought AirCall because, well, A, my agency recommended it, which was really important. And B, I had an intercom build and I had a huge dependency on the chat funnel. Yeah. And AirCall had one of the only, I think it was the only at the time, native intercom integrations for phone. So that was huge for me. And when I talked to, which I'll get into in a sec, when I talked to the agency that has referred you business, he told me the same thing. He's like, we will basically recommend AirCall for a couple keywords. When a couple keywords come up, obviously the need for phone system, that's number one. But when the client has specific tech stacks, right? Specific integration needs. Intercom is a great one. So an agency like Connor's can build out an integration with Intercom and AirCall. There's billable hours in there. His client will love him because they're going to need his support to customize Intercom. They're going to need his support to customize Salesforce or HubSpot. And they're going to need his support to set up AirCall, right? Or maybe not as much AirCall, but they need the full funnel. That's where his agency is important. That's where the billable hours come in. So you have to show Connor, here's where you fit into the mix, right? Yeah, you'll make some residuals. Yeah, that'll be good. But here's where you fit. Here's where I'm going to support you on those sales opportunities. And here's where you're going to make your money. It's not just this commission. It's the big picture, right? So Connor is a smaller agency, 10 employees. He's here in Chicago. He's a friend of mine. His annual revenue from partnerships, referrals, plus the business they refer plus commission, is about $50,000 a year. And he does CRM implementations. So he's a HubSpot Diamond partner, Salesforce, Outreach, Insights Squared, and an awesome agency. Great reputation here in Chicago. A lot of Salesforce business, right? He just got into 2 conversations before I talked to him where AirCall was on the plate, right? Now, his hesitation, he went through a couple of conversations with AirCall and he didn't feel like there was enough real support and understanding where he fits into the mix. He didn't see that, right? So yeah, he will refer his clients because AirCall is an awesome opportunity for them, an awesome tool for them. It's a great value add. But to win agencies like Aptitude 8 and then TrueJ, you may know, they are a little bit bigger, 50 employees, give or take. They do enterprise and mid-market data migrations. It's a great place to insert AirCall. You know, when they're transferring data, they're grabbing phone data, they're grabbing all that stuff from, HubSpot and Salesforce. They're migrating it, and they may see some discrepancies, some issues, maybe there's not a lot of phone data. Maybe they just don't have the data from the phone calls, right? Which is where TrueJ can say, hey, have you checked out AirCall, right? But what is in it for TrueJ? Why should they really partner with AirCall? What's in it for them, right? So what they told me when I interviewed them about their, why they have not partnered with most tools. This is important. They want to remain unbiased. That's important for a lot of larger agencies, especially. They want to remain software agnostic, but they can't, right? They cannot remain software agnostic. So this is counterintuitive. They will say this, they will say this software agnostic option. Most of them will click that, but it's a knee-jerk reaction because they know that's what their clients want them to say. But they are partnered with HubSpot. They are partnered with Click4. They are partnered with Salesforce. And then they say they're software agnostic. That is a total, it's obviously incorrect. They cannot be software agnostic. So I look past that. I just give them that option. But dealing with partner managers is a headache. This is a huge problem. So we have partner team training in our program where we deal with this nonstop, where it's, why is the partner manager selling me all day long? He or she is not calling me to find out anything about my business. There's no empathy there. They're just asking for sales. They've never come to me with any supportive track solutions on how they can help me sell a new client. They've never come to me with co-marketing or co-selling relationship strategies. So dealing with partner managers becomes an obligation and it becomes a negative interaction. So you have to get past that, right? Now, the program setup is just too complicated. That's important too. You got to make it super simple up front. Don't hand them this big contract with a lot of stuff and all these things. Make it super simple and kind of like, pick off what you can do. So how to enable these agencies, show how to help them earn new business. Number 1, what's that track for implementation partner status? Number 2, give them something tangible to sell. What does AirCall with Salesforce look like? What is that productized solution? Where are the billable hours in there? Really dig deep. Instill trust in the sales support. How are you, Anthony, going to help those individuals sell more air call? How are you going to get on the calls with them? Yes or no? Are you going to offer your sales support, but not the sales support that's going to take them away from the agency? You're going to do a demo, then you're going to hand them back to the agency, right? Make sure they trust you in that sense. Now, the strategy that I want to get into is called circles versus rows. It's a strategy where you can take your established partners and now you can get them talking to each other so that everybody is building and creating more and more sticky relationships for AirCall, right? So we call it circles versus rows. It's an analogy that's used in churches where instead of talking to people in rows, you get everyone looking at each other and saying, hey, how can we work together? How can we all help each other, right? So that's where that graphic comes from. So what it is, it's your solution. It's another SaaS, which adds value. So AirCall and Salesforce, perfect example. And it's an agency in the middle. So that's a circle. So it's TrueJ as a HubSpot partner, plus AirCall, plus HubSpot, right? It's all three of you. You're a package deal, right? Now, how does it work in practice? Well, you three, meaning the content, it's not really you three, but you show how HubSpot or Salesforce and the agency come together to form a productized service. So you're promoting that. That's marketing, that's content, that's enablement. That goes into the agency's business. And maybe there's a white label implementation agency below that, a smaller consultant, somebody that's not mentioned in the contracts, but they're being paid as well. We've seen that happen a lot. And that forms that circle where the agency now knows that they have partner manager A, partner manager B, and white label consultant C, so that they feel comfortable selling AirCall as a service. So the full implementation happens. They do it a couple of times. They really like that process. And then they just roll that service out as a new service for their agency. So you came in as AirCall. You showed Connor at Aptitude 8 how Salesforce plus AirCall becomes a new service. Maybe you match him up with a consultant in case he really needs that extra level of support. And then he looks at all three of them together. And now he's decided to refer. They have one client come in, that build takes place. Now he understands how the full system works and he's got the full circle of support, right? So you get Connor at Aptitude 8 talking to your Salesforce rep. You get those two co-selling with you on a bigger contract. The three of you close an awesome contract that maybe Connor supplied. Now he trusts the full system. And now you have that stickiness factor where Connor's not going to go to your competition because now he would have to go through all of that again in order to be selling your competition, which he just wouldn't do. So I'll skip through this. I think Bryn needs some time here and I've kind of gone over, but a couple example videos of the circles in action so you can see what those are. And actually that's it.